Imagine your head felt like a lemon in one of those
So she's saying, imagine your head feels like a lemon in a lemon juice press being squeezed all day. That's pretty much what my head feels like my head's being squeezed on the side. That is just one of the types of head pressures and pains that I feel throughout the day with having IIH. So I got diagnosed back in July, but I didn't get an official diagnosis in my chart until like 3 weeks ago, which is insane. So today on part 2 of Living with IIH, and I guess Marlena's Life is an episode of Grey's Anatomy, I'm going to talk about some of my symptoms and kind of how I got to this point. So I was having symptoms pretty much going back to 2017. I was a teacher back at that time, and I was teaching high school. And so I was having headaches on a pretty much regular basis. I've also had a history of sinus issues, but at the time I figured I've always had sinus issues. I had my tonsils removed because I kept having sinus infections, and I was having just recurrent sicknesses, and I was thinking it was due to being a teacher. Kids are germy. So I'm able to attribute all of this head pressure and pain to something. But I started having this odd sensation and just this weird thing that's happening with my vision back then. But it wasn't happening all the time. This is something that would happen maybe once every couple of months. So it's not like it was something that was really worrying. It's something that would happen. I would say, oh, this is weird, and then I would never think about it again. Then it started happening with maybe once a week type of frequency. And that happened after I got COVID. So I bring it up to my doctor, and I call this wobbly eyes. And this is what I've called this every time since when I'm going to the doctor. So this wobbly eye sensation, it's where my eyes are literally going back and forth. They feel like they're loose and they're wobbling in my head. It's when my vision, it's going, like I'll be looking at something, I'll read something, and I'll lose focus without even trying. And I have no control over this. My eyes are wobbling back and forth. I'll blink a couple of times to try and clear it. It'll clear on its own, and then I just go back to what it's doing. But it was happening over and over again. At the time, my doctor was just kind of like, that's funny. Now I'm realizing it's because the pressure in my brain from the fluid, it's pushing my eyes back and forth. So they don't really think too much of it. And I don't think too much of it either, because it's not happening that frequently. I'm not having double vision in the sense where I'm seeing two objects at once. So I'm also having a history of headaches and migraines, and I've had headaches and migraines since I was a child. So they don't think too much of that either. I'm not popping Excedrin every day because I have a high pain tolerance. So that is the thing that is not working in my favor. I'm not complaining enough for doctors to take any of this serious. So, I get COVID 3 times, and there's one round where I'm just having this really bad constant migraine. I get this really weird whooshing noise, and it's just not going away. I've had this whooshing noise in my ear probably going back 2017. Back then, when I was teaching, I was also coaching a couple of different sports, but I was also going to CrossFit classes before and after work some days. And then previous to this, I'd had a history of being a weightlifter since high school. So I noticed that on really, really heavy lifts, in particular deadlifts and bench presses, when I would max out, I would black out a little bit. I thought that was kind of normal, honestly. In particular, I remember there's one where I actually on a deadlift where I think I tore something, or I had a little tweak. So I tweaked something in my back, and it was at 220. I think the reason I tweaked something in my back was because I blacked out. I actually ended up tearing something in my shoulder on an overhead press. Pretty sure it's because I blacked out. So now I'm able to put all of these things together But at the time, I'm thinking that it's just, oh, the weight's too heavy, it's something else. But now I'm realizing it's because you're blacking out when you're lifting, but because it's just for a couple of seconds at a time, I'm thinking it's not a big a deal. So now I'm realizing, okay, these are all IIH issues. So fast forward to now. I don't know if any of you that have IIH, you realize in your experience in getting treatment that the doctors don't treat IIH as a condition. They treat it as a constellation of symptoms. Meaning, so when I first was seen in July, I was seen by a neuro-ophthalmologist. The neuro-ophthalmologist is only treating my eyes because of the swollen optic nerves, which is the papilledemia. So some of the ophthalmologists, they believe that you can only have IIH with papilledemia. Others, they believe you can have it with the rest of the symptoms. Because I have all of these other symptoms. I have the pulsal tinnitus, which is the whooshing in your ears. I have nausea. I have vertigo. I have all of these other symptoms. Some, they really only see, okay, the eyes, that's the big thing. So right now my issue is getting someone to treat the other symptoms, because the neuro-ophthalmologist, he's seeing, okay, your only issue is the swollen optic nerves. Let's put you on Diamox. So I go on Diamox back in July because I have an allergy to all sulfa class of medications, which I found out in 2009. I still wanted to try it because even though I'd read the horror stories on Reddit and in the Facebook groups, I heard that it worked wonders. And honestly, it worked for me. Even though I was on it for a short period of time, it did work. It resolved the headaches. It made some of the symptoms tamper down. But I ended up allergic as hell with a rash within like 3 weeks. So I had to stop taking it. I wanted to be switched to the next line of defense, because after reading about what natural things you could try dandelion tea. I tried the tea. I tried, I'm switching my diet. I'm on this low sodium diet. I'm not eating too much vitamin A because I'm doing what I can do naturally to resolve it. But I'm still scared of going blind. I don't want to go suddenly blind. And if my diet's not going to cause me to stop going suddenly blind, give me the fucking medication. Sorry. I will take the drugs if it means I'm going to protect my eyesight. Sue me. So at this point, I'm like, what else can I do? Try the topiramate. So this neuro-ophthalmologist, he's not going to give me the topiramate because in the office, a box pops up. The box says there's some sort of interaction. He needs to click to the next screen. This man's not going to read through it. So instead, he puts me on hydrochlorothiazide, which is a blood pressure medication. Don't really do shit for IH because it's just a diuretic for IH. It doesn't help too much. And it was such a low dose. All it really did was mess with my blood pressure. So he sends me over to neurology to help manage the headaches. The neurologist was great. She's a nurse practitioner, but she doesn't know much about IIH. She ends up prescribing topiramate. The topiramate has worked for the optic nerves. Has it worked for any of these other symptoms? No. It has managed bringing the headaches from a 6 or a 7 on a daily basis down to a 3. But I'm still having them on a daily basis, and I'm still having all of these other symptoms. So where do we go next? In October, I start having really bad vertigo. Like bedbound, can't drive, feel like I'm on a boat all the time. And I'm a student. So like that's kind of not going to work because I have shit to do. So that leads me to neuro-otology. So this is just, it's a mess. Trying to figure out how to advocate for myself and how to get the right doctor who's going to treat all of these symptoms and all of this as a whole. So far, still on that journey. It's fucking May. I have a cerebral angiogram scheduled for the 29th. So stay tuned for the next couple of parts on this journey.